Hi, welcome all of you to yet another video, and I hope all of you are staying safe inside your homes. And okay, now in this video, I will discuss about the functional based components. And in my previous video, I discussed about the lifecycle hooks methods of class based components. So I will add it in the description, and I recommend you to go through it and watch the video, and then you will be able to understand the business logic of the class based components. So for the today's video, so now I will go through the theoretical part that you may need to know initially. The theoretically functional component definition is a function component is basically a JavaScript or ES6 function that returns a React element. So I have created components as hello here using the valid functional component way, and the other way around, which is the ES6 function or the arrow function way. So I will initially discuss about the valid functional component way. So here I use the function keyword to create my hello component. So I have used the props as my parameter, so I can use it in my JavaScript XML code to denote my input parameters using this props.name for this example. And also about these props or the properties, I will discuss this about in detail in the next slides. And the other way is the ES6 function, or the commonly known as the arrow function way. So here I use the const keyword and use the hello component, and same like the valid functional components. So I have used the props as my parameters and used it in my JavaScript XML. So that's the theoretical part and the very basic and the simple way of creating your functional component. So let's talk about the props now. So the first point is React has a special object called prop. Also it stands for the name property, so which we use to transport data from one component to another. So when you need to pass data from one component to another, you can use this object called prop. So that's the first point. And the next point is, so you have to be careful because props only transport data in one way flow. So that's called the unidirectional flow. So only from parent to child components. So it is not possible with props to pass data from child to parent or to components at the same level. So you have to carefully understand the thing that the same level component or the component from bottom level to top level, you can't pass the props. So that's how the React props works. The next important thing is how to export a component. So why we need to export a component? So to be able to use a component later, you need to first export it so you can import it somewhere else. So that's why you have to export your component. So for an example, so this is my app class or the app component. So I have used my hello component inside this app component. So how did I use that is, so I have used this export default keyword and use this name hello to export this created component. So I can use that exported component inside this app component. So that's how you have to export your component and use it somewhere else to implement your logic inside your application. In the browser now you can see I have created a component using a functional component. So welcome to functional components, like that you can see in my browser. So now let's go and see the practical example of how to export a component and how you face a problem whenever you don't export your component to use in the app component. So now let's go and see in a practical scenario. So you can see in my app component I have used the hello component in the 15th line. So I have imported my hello component like this. You can see in the number line 4. So the hello component has been imported in my path where inside the components folder. So inside the hello folder, and again so the hello JavaScript file. So I will now go to my hello component and see in number line 56 I have used this export default keyword, and exported my component using the name hello. So my component is this hello. So the other components are this is hello ES6, and this is the only component you can see in the name hello. So I have exported this using the export default. Now I will comment this out and see what will happen. So you can see in my terminal, so it says that failed to compile, because the reason is export default or the imported as hello was not found in components hello and hello, like that. This is the path actually, and it says that we can't find the hello component. So the reason is this number 15 cannot catch this imported hello component because I have removed or the uncomment this line. So now I will again undo the change and I will save it, and let's see what will happen. So now the error has been diminished and no error couldn't be found in the terminal. So now it's working fine, and also I could show it in the browser as well. So I will comment this out again, and I will show you this in the browser and how it will look like. In my browser I will refresh it again. So the same error has been reported in the browser. So it says that the export was not found in the app component. So that's how the export keyword is very much essential whenever you implement your functional component. So this is not only related to actually functional components, this is commonly for all the components, whether it is a functional component or whether it is a class-based components. You have to use this export default keyword to export your components whenever to use somewhere else. So that's all about that, and we'll move to the next part. And now let's summarize something. It will be much helpful you to understand the things that I discussed so far, and after this I will go to the practical scenario, the practical session, to demonstrate all the things that I discussed previously. So the summary is like this: functional component is a JavaScript or ES6 function. Also the ES function we called it as a arrow function as well. So you have to better understand how the differences of this ES6 function and the normal valid JavaScript function. So the next point is it must return a React element, or also known as the JavaScript XML. So the next point is always starts with the capital letter. So this is common for the functional components and as well as class-based components. So this is a naming convention, and actually, so the reason behind you have to start with the capital letter is the typical JavaScript XML predefined tags are defined in simple letters. So all the custom created components could be identified using this naming convention if you start it with the capital letter. So that's why you have to use your custom components using starting with the capital letter. So it will be both applicable for functional components and the class-based components as well. So the next important point is takes a props or the property as a parameter if necessary. Sometimes you may need to use props in your component, but sometimes you may not. So the things or the ways you have to decide depends on your logic. So this is the summary of the things that I have discussed so far. Now let's go through the code and learn more things from the implementation of the code. So here are some few points more to understand correctly. So always the HTML and the component tags must be closed. So whenever you use a HTML tag or your component, you have to close that. So the hello component, I already explained that I have used it here. So let's go and unclose this h1 tag now. So you will face an error. So let's go and see. So the highlighted error shows that JSX element div has no corresponding closing tag. So I will undo that and add the closing tag. So now you can see there's no error. So also I will save this and I will show it for the custom component as well. So here I have unclosed that tag. So now the same error is showing here as the previous. So for the predefined components and as well as your custom components, you have to close the tags whenever you use that component tags. So that's one thing you have to understand. And the next thing is some attributes like class becomes class name in JavaScript XML. I have already discussed about that in my previous sessions as well. So the next thing is the we can't return more than one HTML element at once. So make sure to wrap them inside the parent tag. So let's see what will happen when I add the same component tags repeatedly inside this JavaScript element. So now you can see an error comes. So the error shows that JSX expressions must have one parent element. So that's because this element is not having a one parent element. So I will now add a parent element like this using the tag div. So initially I will add the first part of the div, and then I will close this div tag like this. Now when I save this, you can see now the error has been diminished. So that's because in the previously this section didn't have the parent tag, so the parent element. So now after I add this div, so it has the parent element. Let's do some more changes to my hello component. So I have defined a variable in number line 32. So the text is a string, so it's called as I assigned the string as the Nalin's Academy. And now we'll see how I could use this variable in my component. So I have used this text variable inside the JavaScript XML using these two curly braces. So it will replace this word Nalin's Academy in the JavaScript XML. And like that, in number 34, I have created another variable. So it is not a string, actually it is a predefined tag, which is h1 tag. So likewise you can use that tags also to as a substitute in the JavaScript XML. So I will now substitute this variable called message in my JavaScript XML using the curly braces. So whenever you use the curly braces, you can substitute or replace your variables which is string or which are tags inside the JavaScript XML. So now I will add message variable like this and will save. And now let's go and see in the browser. Now you see the React is cool has been shown in the browser. So because I have add the message variable inside my JavaScript XML using that curly braces. So you better understand the usage of that curly braces to replace your variables in the JavaScript XML. In the line 55, I have defined a component called logo. So inside that component, I only returned an image tag, so denoting my Nalin's Academy logo. So in this component, actually it's stateless because I haven't implemented any state logic inside this line 55 component, because it only takes my JavaScript XML return to the browser, but it doesn't take any props as the parameters. So I have discussed about that props and told that there are some places where you don't need your properties to inside into your component. So this is a place that actually practically I used without properties, because I only return my JavaScript XML. So but in the hello component, actually I have maintained a logic here. So using this is log visible state. So whenever I change or the negate my is log visible state from true to false and false to true. So it will be used to use as a conditional statement to show my logo component. Now, so you better understand the stateful and the stateless functional components, because the reason, the point you have to understand is I have used this state in my hello component but not in the logo component. So now as my state is changing in the hello component, now I will use the conditional rendering to show my logo whenever is log visible state is true. So I can use it like this. So I will again use my curly braces, and I will use this variable. So and using the conditional statement like this, I will return my logo component. So I will edit like this and close the tag. So now I will save this. So the logic has been now written in this handle on click. So for to implement that, also I have to add another what you call a button, because I have to use a button to implement my this logic and in order to change my state. So I will add my button like this. So I will close the button tag like this, and I will use the word show height logo to name my button, and inside that button I will use this on click property to pass my handle click function. And let's save this and go and see in my browser what will happen, the changes now. Okay, now you can see the show height logo button has been appeared here. Now I will click it. So you can see my logo has been appeared. Now that means my state variable must be now true because of that. So the logo has been appeared. So logo, which is my stateless component, and now I will again click that. So now you can see, so the boolean variable has been negated now, and it will be hidden from the component. So that's how you can use a conditional statement to render your component, and as well as your stateless components and stateful components to achieve your implementations in your business application. Okay, now you are in the last practical scenario in today's video. So here it is a arrow function or ES6 function component. So I have already exported this hello ES6 function. So because of that, I could import it in the app component, and I have used two properties for now as text and message, and included the string values in these properties definitions. And so using the props, I have used this props.text and props.message. So I will show the things in the browser now. Now you can see my ES6 functional component shows the Nalin's Academy and the functional component like that. The properties that I have passed in the app component. And okay, let's go and see some more interesting things that you have to know in functional components whenever you deal with your properties. So I will again go back to my code now. Okay, now I will use destructuring to use these props. So whenever you use destructuring, you can directly use these curly braces in your parameters in the definition of your functional component. So after these brackets, you can use these curly braces and destructure. So I recommend you to go Google it and see about destructuring. And also I hope to do the JavaScript basics in another playlist as well. So for now I will use this destructuring like this and like this text and message, and I will now I don't need to use this props, so it's your desire to use that. And I will now use this destructured text and message variables here. And also I would like to add another variable called logo, so that I could pass my created logo component in the app class. So I will replace that logo also within the curly braces in my hello ES6 functional component here. And now we'll save this one. And okay, anyway, now I will go to the browser and show what happens. Now you can see the same thing appears here in the browser. Now I will refresh this one, so no change. So that's because after the destructuring also the same thing has been happened. So it's your desire to use the destructuring, no the props.name like that. So now I will go and add the logo as a parameter. So as I used the logo as a parameter or a property in this hello ES6 component, so now let's go and add that in the place where I define my hello ES6 component. So I will use the prop logo, and now I will use this logo component like this. So I will pass this as a property now. So now let's save this and go and see. First let's go and see, because I have used this export keyword here also. I will actually remove this export keyword. So now you can see that doesn't contain an export name logo, because this logo wouldn't be imported here. So when after again I will use this export keyword and will save. Now you can see no error has been occurred here, because now the logo would be imported here using that export keyword. So now this is how you could pass your component like this as a property to your component here. And now let's go and see in the browser what will appear. You can see my logo here. So because I passed my logo as a property to my hello ES6 functional component, the stateful versus stateless part, so I have already described it in the actually in the practical, as well as the stateless function using the logo component, and also the stateful function using the valid functional component, the hello component, if you can remember. And okay, so within the brackets I have mentioned the using React hooks you can maintain the state and implement logic. That's how I used in that hello component. If you can remember, the is logo visible state has been implemented using the one of the React hooks, use state hook. And so the next thing is so you better go through my video and also Google it, and you better self study about the functional components life cycle. So the question is, does a functional component has a life cycle? So in the previous video you see that class-based components has a life cycle hooks methods to implement to your business logic. But now you can see only in my stateful component, which is the hello component, I have used the React hooks to implement the logic. So normally whenever you use the React hooks, you can implement your logic inside your functional component, but in the logo component you doesn't see any logic there. So in order to have the logic, and also using the React hooks you can replace majority of the lifecycle methods which you can see in the class-based components. So on this I will create another video in latter part of my playlist about the React hooks methods and how you can use that. So also about the state management. So for now this is all about the state management in the functional components and the things. So I hope you got a good understanding about the functional components as well as some thing about the functional component. So until the next video, I hope you are feeling well, and you are staying safe inside your homes. And for now, see you in the next video. Thank you all.